Thank you, Shane. Looking out here, I get a strong feeling the industry in Ireland is fully committed to marketing. Minister, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to welcome all of you here today for this presentation and to look at what is going to happen in the next 12 months in marketing our country. We're delighted with the turnout, over 400 of you here. I think it's, as I said, shows the commitment to marketing within the industry. Minister, we're grateful to you for making the time to be with us this morning and indeed for your continuous support throughout the year. I would like also to welcome colleagues from Fáilte Ireland, from The Gathering, from ITIC, from the IHF and Shannon Development, with whom we work closely, and to thank all of you for your continued support to our efforts and your efforts throughout the year. 2012 has been a year of mixed fortunes. Dublin and some of our other cities have been doing quite well, and some of the top tourism destinations. However, others, particularly those in the periphery, are not doing so well, and are not performing as we would like them to perform, and more importantly, as they would like to perform. With our industry partners, we have taken a long, hard look at our markets, particularly the GB market and the US market, to identify areas of future potential, and we'll be rolling out new strategies and action plans on these markets for 2013. Niall and our market colleagues will tell you more about that and about our ambitious plans for winning more business and more market share in the coming year. Given the continuing economic uncertainty in some of our markets, this will not be an easy task. However, the Tourism Ireland team are ready and they are up for the challenge. The Gathering will be a major part of our marketing activity next year. This follows an extensive series of overseas launches around St. Patrick's Day and during the autumn in the United States, in Great Britain, in Canada, and in Australia, all designed to focus attention on the roadshow, on the Gathering, and designed to enthuse the Irish communities in those markets to come home for the Gathering. On Taoiseach, Minister Varadkar, Minister Michael Ring, and other Cabinet colleagues have taken the lead in a number of these roadshows. I think that indicates the commitment of our government to our sector. I thank those of you who have worked with us this year through the Tourism Recovery Task Force, the 4 market partnership groups, and those of you who have assisted us in reviewing the GB and US markets. We deeply appreciate the time you give us and your commitment to the tourism industry. I confirm that Tourism Ireland is fully committed to implementing the strategies and action plans resulting from the GB and the US market reviews. May I take this opportunity to thank Minister Varadkar and the Minister for State, Michael Ring, and the officials in the Department of Tourism, in the Department of Transport, and the Department of Sport for their continuing support, including the areas of visas and access. I regret, Minister, but I keep putting tourism as the first part of the department. You forgive me. Overseas tourism will contribute in the order of €3.7 billion to our economy in 2013. I believe that if we continue to work together, you, the industry and the agencies, that the tourism sector can make a much greater contribution to the recovery of our economy.
Thanks very much, Minister. The Minister actually has to go to a Cabinet meeting, but I just wanted to say thank you very much for all the support that you've given us through the course of 2012, and we look forward to working with you and your colleagues, and indeed all the industry here through the course of 2013 to deliver in terms of the amount of revenue that we can across the world and supporting all the jobs that we do across this island. As the Minister has said, it's been a sort of a mixed bag of a year, really. Some markets have performed better than others, and some parts of the country have performed better than others. And before we talk about our approach in marketing in 2013, I just have a very short video that we're going to show you, which puts together a compendium of some of the promotions that have been going on across the 22 markets in which we operate during the course of 2012. So if you could just roll it there, Greg, that'll be great.
Let's do this!
Sort of things that bring me business instantly. I call this shoe leather tourism, where we walk the streets and shake up the people and get them in.
Especially in the month of February, when Tourism Ireland launches the shows, that we get a jump start on the year and everybody can learn more about the destination.
Someplace that I knew he would like. So last week I sent him to Ireland.
Top of the morning to you, Ellen. I came all the way to Dublin to celebrate St. Patrick's Day and discover Ireland.
Just over there is the River Liffey, and that side is Dame Street. But I'm in Temple Bar, and this is the heart of Dublin's tourist area.
Kommst du nach Irland, um die einzigartige Landschaft zu genießen? Oder um unsere Sehenswürdigkeiten anzuschauen? Erfahre auch das echte Irland. Nimm die Stimmung in dir auf. Jetzt Reiseplanen auf entdeckeirland.de. Irland. Sehen, spüren, erleben.
Bárbara, ¿cómo habéis conseguido hacer de esta celebración vuestra algo universal?
Irlandese sin dai tempi medievali. Questo è uno degli scorci più suggestivi di Dublino.
Siamo a Dublino. Sì, tutta la mia famiglia c'era già stata.
Ci porta a correre nel più bel parco naturale d'Irlanda, sfidando le fatiche di un'ultramaratona da 63 km.
Get back here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, if that doesn't work, we're all in trouble. Okay. But listen, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about 6 themes, really. 4 of them are market-based: Great Britain, North America, mainland Europe, and Australia and developing markets. And then I'm going to briefly touch on 2 very important strategic themes which underpin all the activity going on in our markets overseas during the course of 2013. They're digital marketing and the gathering. So just kicking off, Great Britain, as we all know, is the largest market to Ireland. It accounts for about 50% of all our visitors, and it's seen the biggest decline in tourism to Ireland in the last number of years. And a lot of the reasons have been well documented. The number of British people travelling abroad is back to the level it was at in 2001. The nationwide consumer confidence index is at an all-time low. We had a 40% depreciation of sterling against the euro, which made Ireland very expensive. But you know all that, it's all been said and done. And a group, a voluntary coalition of interests, Tourism Ireland, Fáilte Ireland, the Northern Ireland Tourist Board, the Irish Tourist Industry Confederation, and companies like Ryanair, Aer Lingus, Abbey Tours, and many others got together to carry out a root and branch review. And the result was this report, the GB Path to Growth Project. It's critical that if you want to grow your business from this market, that you read this document. It contains a marketing agenda, it contains an agenda for Fáilte Ireland and the NITB on the experience development side, and it contains an agenda for the industry as well, and we have all signed up to it. I'm just going to touch on some of the marketing aspects of it. My colleague Vanessa Markey is here with the team from GB, and she'll be able to talk to you in more detail about that later on. But we did a lot of research, and this one slide sums up 10,000 interviews, and it probably doesn't do the project justice at all. But I suppose what it's saying is that there are a number of things that we're very good at here in Ireland. We're great at meeting the locals, having fun, and we're great at partying, and we're well renowned for that. But unfortunately, in terms of winning business in Britain, that isn't going to be enough. The British outbound market is in distress, and it's unlikely to grow given the state of their economy. So we're going to have to steal business from somewhere else. And the most likely competitors are Scotland, Devon and Cornwall, and the Lake District. And the things that motivate holidaymakers to take holidays in those places are on the left-hand side, and they're the things that we're going to have to get better at. So that's an unfair summary of 10,000 interviews, but it's saying that there's an agenda there that we have to work on in the coming years. In addition to that, we took a new look at who are we actually targeting in the market. And there were 7 segments identified, but for this year we're going to be focusing largely on 2. And I'm just going to give you a profile of who they are. The first one are young, right? An example here, Trevor and his friends in London who haven't actually been to Ireland before. They were calling them social energizers. They tend to be under the age of 30. They work hard, they play hard. These guys are not looking to go home relaxed. They're into new and uncharted experiences. They like an organised holiday, but they like spontaneity. The things that will motivate these people are action and adventure, day and nighttime activities, music and festivals, and city breaks. Now what we've done, this is not an advertisement, but it's just a little mood piece of the type of things that motivate them. So if you have a business that fits into this space, these are the type of things that's likely to attract these visitors.
Dublin. You know what it's like. Great pubs, great music.
Hello. That's not a pub.
Great pubs, great music, great lots of other stuff.
So just a mood piece of the type of things that are likely to attract that type of market. These are guys who are very web savvy, they're into social media, which I'm going to talk about later on. The second segment that I'm going to just touch on are a different one. We call them culturally curious. They're empty nesters, tend to travel as couples. This is Gwen and Peter who actually have been to Ireland before. They like to connect with Ireland, they like to authentic experiences and get under the skin of a place, and they like to broaden their minds. The things that are likely to motivate these people are touring and getting off the beaten track, history and culture, nature and outdoors. They're very good for rural business. And again, we've put together just a little 30-second mood piece on these people who are more likely to consume through traditional media like The Independent, The Guardian, or through television.
There you go. That's what you'd expect to find when you visit Ireland. But what you actually find is a whole lot more. Discover our stories. Leave with a whole lot of your own.
So just a sense of the types of things that's likely to motivate those 2 segments. Now, as I said, there are another 5 segments, but in terms of 2013, the key focus will be on these 2. So that's just who we're talking to. In relation to the role that you can play, I'd advise you to have a look at the document our colleagues in Fáilte Ireland produced yesterday, which actually has a 20-point action plan if your business is interested in connecting into the markets, what you can do. I'm just going to touch on 4 because we won't have time to go through them all. But we need to develop unique experiences that speak to those target audiences. The second thing we need to do is add value. We all know the perceptions of value for money in Britain declined rapidly over the period 1999 to 2009, and while they are improving, there is still a perception lingering there. We know we've got some competitive advantages. The price of accommodation is very good. The price of entry to visitor attractions is very good compared to the domestic GB market. We know that the price of eating out an alcoholic drink is an issue. However, we need to make sure that we're bundling and adding value to the experience that competes with the likes of Scotland, Devon and Cornwall, because they're the customers that we're going to be targeting. In addition to that, if you're interested in growing business from this market, you need to be in the social media space. And I'm going to talk about it in a little bit detail later on. And finally, word of mouth is very important as well. Your TripAdvisor reviews need to be right up there with the best. So they're just sort of 4 tips that are relevant to industry. As I said, there is a much larger agenda that our colleagues Fáilte Ireland will be working on, along with the industry through the course of 2013, that will speak to the segments that we're targeting. The prize is very big from this market. It's a 4-year plan, and what we are saying is that by 2016, we could see an additional 200,000 holidaymakers per annum from this market. On average, growth of 5% per annum. I do suspect that 2013 is more likely to be about 3%, given the way the economy is and the fact that we're only kicking off this plan. But cumulative growth of 20% over the period of the 4 years which would mean an additional 61 million euros revenue per annum to the economy. So the prize is big, we've all signed up to it, and it's a matter of getting on with it, and my colleague Vanessa will talk to you more about that later on in the breakout session on Britain. In relation to North America, we've seen actually quite a good year this year. It's actually going to be the second best year in 10 years from North America, particularly the United States. However, what we did do is, we took a root and branch review of the market over the last number of months in order to accelerate the growth. And what we produced was another document which, if you are interested in this market on the United States, it's the Make Ireland Jump Out. And again, it was produced in conjunction with the industry here at home and with partners overseas based in the marketplace, like Aer Lingus, like Scepter Tours, and really was taking a root and branch review to say, how do we actually accelerate this market even further and grow by 20% over the next 3 years? And again, an awful lot to go through, and my colleague Alison Metcalf and Joe Byrne, who are here from North America, will talk about it later on. I'll take you through, though, just a couple of the segments that have been identified, which may be of interest to you. The first one, just to illustrate, is a couple from Chicago, and they're Robert and Monica. They're well educated, they're affluent, they tend to be but in this case are post children. They like to holiday with lots of cultural options, they're active sightseers, and they're looking for a place of unique character. They like culture and heritage, they like the gentle outdoor activities, and they like to do it at their own pace. And the sort of things that will interest these people may be a trip to the Percy French Summer School in Roscommon, it might be a cycle along the Greenway in Mayo, or it could be a trip to the Cliffs of Moher. Very good for regional business. The second segment identified in the report, a slightly older couple, Bobby and Jan from North Carolina, who haven't come to Ireland before. This crowd tend to be over 55, they're affluent, they tend to travel in couples, they know what they want to do and where they want to go, and they have an appetite for learning and a deep interest in the history of the place they're visiting. What they are looking for is good accommodation and facilities. They're looking for culture and heritage, nature and outdoors, and easy and accessible destinations. The types of things that will motivate a couple like this may be a trip to literary Dublin, at which they might take a day trip to Glendalough, fine food and dining, of which there's an abundance in Dublin as well. Moving on to the final segment, which is a relatively new one. This is Zach and Kirsten from the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. And these are a web-savvy couple. They book late, they like city breaks. Again, they have time and money on their hands. The types of things that will interest them are authentic and new experiences, something that's culturally rich but fun. They like socializing with new people, and they like to be kept busy and active. And the types of things that would speak to these couples will be maybe nightlife in Dublin and Galway. It might be a trip to Trinity College or Kylemore Abbey, and they might end up taking some sort of soft adventure in while they're here as well. Now, last year, I should say 2012, saw the summer season very busy, and what our group have recommended is that we try and develop propositions to extend the season. And particularly for this people, Zach and Kirsten in the tri-state area, a city-based proposition is something we'll work on with the carriers and tour operators for those people who are taking shorter holidays. And in addition to that, what we're finding is that Americans don't have the same entitlement to holidays as Europeans. And a 6-day proposition is something that will speak to a larger audience as well and help to extend the season. One of the things that we've done very successfully over the last number of years is we've worked with all the carriers on cooperative campaigns to talk about the ease of access and the good value that there is. We know that during the summer season, fares were quite high this year, and I'm delighted that over the last month or two, there's been some great announcements from United with a new service from Chicago into Shannon, from US Airways, new service from Philadelphia into Shannon. We have American Airlines with a new route from JFK into Dublin, and Aer Lingus are operating new service, or additional services, I should say, from Orlando, Boston, and Chicago. And that's really good news, and it means that next summer we will see a 20% increase in seats for the peak. To put that in perspective, at the peak year of 2007, there were 35,000 seats a week coming from this market. This year, there was only 25,000. So demand and supply, price was going up. This is great news, particularly for the gathering. So the prize is very big from this market. If we implement this plan, well, we will implement this plan, we could see an additional 182,000 visitors over the 3-year period, 2013 to 2015. It means that our market share from the United States, in other words, the share of our business, of all American business to Europe, will be at its highest level ever, at 9% in 2015. Essentially, that would mean a 20% increase in visitors over the next 3 years, spending in total 140 million in those 3 years. Now, that's the United States market. When you add Canada into that, which is another good year, and we're hopeful that Air Canada will announce an extension to the frequency of their services next year as well. Next year, we expect from North America to see a total of 1.1 million visitors from the United States and Canada, an increase of 10%. It's quite an aggressive target, spending a total of 860 million euros. And my colleagues will be there to talk about that market later on in more detail with you. Moving on to mainland Europe, it's been the star performer of Irish tourism really for the last 10 years, and it's made up of an awful lot of markets, the key ones being France and Germany. And there are two strategic reviews already in place in respect to France and Germany. Those two countries are delivering about 400,000 visitors each. And Europe is also underpinned by a secondary tier of markets as well, some performing quite well, like Austria, Switzerland, Scandinavia, Benelux. Italy and Spain have actually increased visitor numbers this year too. So when you add Europe together, and our colleagues from Europe are here today, led by Finola O'Mahony, we expect next year the number of holidaymakers and revenue from European markets will be the top performers in terms of delivery for Ireland. We expect to see about 2.48 million visitors. That's an increase of about 4.4%, spending 1.28 billion euros. Last but by no means least then is Australia and developing markets. It's 5% of all of our business, but it's having a record year this year. Some of those reasons that the source markets here actually are in good shape. The Australian and New Zealand dollar are very strong, which makes it very good value for money. And we're also helped by the fact that we've had some great access developments in the last couple of years. With Emirates and Etihad, we now have 17 flights a week coming from the Middle East into Dublin. Those 17 flights a week means that there are 10 gateways in India, 4 in China, 4 in Australia, and 1 in New Zealand that are only now 1 stop away from Ireland. And those flights have been remarkably successful in their load factors, and I know that Emirates are already talking about putting either a bigger plane or more frequency on that route, which is good news for us. In addition to that, a visa waiver scheme was introduced last year, and this has been a problematic issue and a barrier to entry for particularly Asian markets. And I'm delighted to say that, for example, in China we now have 24 tour operators who previously only programmed the United Kingdom are now programming the United Kingdom and Ireland. We're going to continue to work with our colleagues in the Department of Justice towards what we feel is the right thing to do, a combined UK and Ireland visa, which will give us some viable alternative and competitor visa to the Schengen region. So that really sums up the market areas. Just for Australian developing markets next year, we expect to drive for 450,000 visitors, which will be an increase of 10%, spending 380 million euros, similarly a 10% increase. Fairly ambitious, but I think quite doable. That sums up the market reviews, and I'm just going to touch on a couple of issues which really underpin all our activities across the markets in 2013. The first one of these is digital marketing. About 6 years ago, we launched a new suite of websites. There were 42 websites in about 11 languages with 13 million visitors this year, which will be an increase of 15%. This was revolutionary at the time. It was fantastic. But since then, there's been an explosion in social media. When we set those websites up, there was no Facebook, there was no Twitter, there was no YouTube, no LinkedIn. And in addition to that, there's been an explosion as well in the use of handheld devices, tablets, smartphones, etc. It's changed the way that people look, and it's changed the way that people book. Just to take the example of social media, on Facebook now, we are the second biggest tourist board in the world. We have 1.1 million fans. We know who they are, we know what country they're in, we know what they like, and we know that they all have an average of 220 fans or friends each, which makes us one click away from an audience of 220 million. And if you go back to my presentation on Britain, this speaks right into that social energizers market. It'll speak right into the young independence market in the United States as well. So this is a really important platform. It's a big brand builder, but it's a great way to send out messages, and it's important that you're in there too. In addition to that, we're moving home. We were at www.discoverireland.com, and as most of you will be aware, we purchased the Ireland.com name off the Irish Times this year. It'll pay for itself over the next number of years in reduced costs that we spend. So it's really good news. It is the ultimate name to have in marketing Ireland overseas. In addition to that, in a number of weeks' time, as the Minister said, we're launching our new website, which we started investing in last year. This is the front page of it. Or one of the front pages, and Brian Hart, my colleague, will talk to you about this later on. It's a really exciting development. As well, some of the key features of this are the stunning use of imagery. We've decluttered a lot of the pages on it, reduced the number of buttons, so to speak, that clutter up what you can actually see. It's designed to look brilliant on tablets. It's designed to be fully interactive with social media. And through the course of next year, every single page will have a bookable option on it as well. I'm not going to talk any more about it. I just have a very short video for about 45 seconds that will give you a flavour, and Brian Hart will give you a more detailed, in-depth look at it this afternoon. So that's just a very quick snapshot of how it looks and how it feels, and Brian Hart will give you a look at that later on. We're really excited about it. I think it's going to be a great addition to what we have to tell in terms of our story in 2013. So the last thing that brings me on to is to talk about the gathering, and again the Minister has talked about it already. It's the biggest initiative in the history of the Irish state from a tourism perspective. I've been very fortunate to travel the world promoting this with the Minister over the course of the year. And despite what little cynicism there sometimes is in the media here at home, I've been absolutely bowled over by the reception it's had overseas. And what a lot of the diaspora tell me is that they felt a little bit disconnected during the good old days here of the Celtic Tiger, and they feel that people are talking to them again. I've been absolutely amazed by the amount that people want to do, particularly in the key markets of the United States, Canada, Britain and Australia. There really has been a great take-up for it, and we're looking forward to making it a great success. I have a very short video just to show you some of the promotions that have been going on during the course of 2012, and look forward to 2013 in the gathering.
2013 is the gathering. We're encouraging everyone with Irish ancestry to come home to Ireland. It's going to be a blast. I mean you, Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, what it is really is a year-long celebration running all through 2013, starting on New Year's Eve and running for the whole year. And it's a celebration of Ireland, of Irishness, of everything to be Irish.
Unless you want to have great fun, a great time, meet friendlier people than you met anywhere else in the world, and see more beautiful scenery, and enjoy yourself more than anywhere else. If you don't like those things, don't come. If you do, then Ireland is the place for you.
Why come to Ireland just to stroll around our fair cities? To stand and stare at our statues? Or admire our pubs from afar? When you can jump in, dive in, race in, rush in, squeeze in, tuck in, join in. That's the spirit. 2013 is the year of the gathering, when Ireland invites the world to join us in celebrating our music, fun, culture and lots more. Be part of it. Visit discoverireland.com. Brought to you by thegatheringireland.com.
Hi, I'm Johnny Logan, and in 2013 I'm going to be inviting family and friends from all over the world to come to Ireland and to celebrate the gathering with me.
Is the mother of the famed Daniel Patrick Fox.
My mom's got a lot of cousins out here.
The Walshes, the Maccas, the Boys, the McNamaras, the O'Shaughnessy's.
Yeah, I had to get a lot of tickets from Gary.
So that's just a sense of what's been going on through the course of 2012. And as I said, it's got a fantastic reception. I am absolutely convinced there is a spiritual connection between Ireland and their diaspora, and this is going to be a great project for everybody. That really brings, my themes really to a conclusion. The 4 market areas, the colleagues will be here, including people from the gathering, to talk to you later on. And next year is a really important year. The prize is very big. I always regard this as Ireland's most important industry. And we're looking next year at 7.6 million visitors to this island. That's a growth of 5%, spending 3.7 billion euros, supporting 200,000 jobs. Our teams are here. Let's engage. We're really keen to work with you. Can I just say I'm absolutely bowled over by the attendance today. I mean, I saw the numbers that have registered, but I'm flabbergasted to see the amount of people standing, and it really is a positive sign. I just want to compliment as well the staff here in Fáilte Ireland at home and the Tours of Ireland staff at home and abroad. They make us very proud to be Irish. They need to do a great job, and we're looking forward to engaging with everybody. And thank the industry most of all, and all the people here, particularly those who were out on the road with us supporting us in 2012. We look forward to doing the same again in 2013. So if you can remain seated for a minute, Shane Clark is going to come up and do the housekeeping, and I'm looking forward to talking to you as many of you as I can later on. Thanks very much indeed.